All right, guys. My audio should be pretty good. Let me know if I need to turn it up. I might even be a little too loud. Got me some tea in this cup. You know I'm ready for this video. I got tea in this cup. I just poured this coffee because I didn't want to get up in the middle of the video and I wasn't quite done with the tea. All right. So I just finished some bone broth. You guys are going to see me lose a lot of weight here in the next few days. Nothing to it. I haven't eaten since Wednesday, but it's only Friday. That's nothing. But in the joint, sometimes I would do a personal reset and I just quit eating and live on orange pico tea and coffee. And I would slim and trim right back up. I do it real fast. I have really good control of my body. I've been overweight for the past, since I've been with Dawn. And I just haven't done anything about it. So I just woke up one morning, didn't even plan it. I just woke up one morning and said, all right, I'm done with this. I'm still doing my rowing machine and all that. I work out even while I'm fasting. Zero food, guys. I don't cheat. I don't do the stupid fast where there's a window of time during the day you can eat. Now I don't do any of that. You don't even get hungry. If you do a real fast, if you do a real fast like you're supposed to, you can drink a cup of coffee in the morning. You can drink another one in the evening. You can drink 1 or 2 cups of tea. But every day I drink. It's a thermos cup. It's only this tall. It's a little bitty cup. Yeah, like on a coffee cup, it's only about this tall, and it's half as big around. But I heat up bone broth, add a little bit of Celtic salt, sea salt, and that's all I need. That's all I need. It's got everything. It's got everything I need, man. Because what I want my body to do is what it's already started doing, and yeah, my mind is alive. Yeah, I'm not going to go out there and run a bunch of laps, but I got energy. So, and I'm not hungry. You just got to be disciplined. You guys are going to see. You guys are going to see. I'm not going to stop the fast until I get down to my ideal body weight and get back into training. I'm going to be on my rowing machine every day until I get to where I want to be. Yeah, those who just fast and don't work out while they're fasting, they must be doing it for health reasons, like trying to purge the system of something that doesn't belong in it or something. But if you're trying to get rid of fat and you want to maintain your musculature, yeah, you got to do some type of heavy aerobic workout during a fast. Oh, I'm not doing a carnivore diet. Yeah, I'm not eating anything at all. And I feel great. So, okay, Cypher, got to get in the door if you want to. Hey, July 31st, it's over. So I'm just letting you know. We did a Cypher video yesterday. Tomorrow's Saturday. We're going back into Cypher again tomorrow. We're doing we're just getting things ready. We're getting things ready for the NFL season. And August 1st, it's over. Don't even ask. You won't be able to get in until after Super Bowl. Just like last year. All right. Yeah, man. Here's another. I keep doing these videos that are unanticipated. I didn't expect to do this video. This guy hasn't even been on my radar. Don't even care about him. But shit, my name keeps coming out of his mouth in these podcasts. 2 that I know of. But yeah, what he's saying really ain't cool. So I'm going to introduce you to him. Guy Anderson. Now, there's been several attempts by people in the community, in Martin Leakey's community, in Autodidactic's community, to get me to work with this guy. And this guy emailed me a year and a half ago, and I just didn't respond. I looked at my emails last night to make sure. I went in there and I looked. Yeah, he emailed me, and I never answered him back. But Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, he's not. He's not. Something's very wrong with this guy. It's very wrong. I'm going to show it to you. Yeah, I don't need you to listen to my opinion. I'm like I do in all things in our case. I'm going to show it to you. You can make up your own mind. I don't care if I don't care if he used to be a mason. His father was a mason, and he was trying to be a worshipful master. That's what he says in his book. He was aiming to be a worshipful master, and he wanted to switch over to be a Knights Templar. And you know what, man? I don't care about your backstories. That's what they are to me, backstories. I don't care. Remember, in archaics, we judge all things by their effect. Yeah, because a mouth will say anything, and people can be doing all kinds of things out there in the field, but the end result of their activities is what you judge them by. Yeah, man. So crazy. Let me introduce you to this guy. Real personable. Yeah, man. Real personable. You get on. He'll charm your socks off. He will. Absolutely. Yeah. And let me tell you something. 2020, 2021, and early 2022, he wasn't on anybody's radar. He did not exist in social media. That's when he started reaching out to these little real small channels, and they started giving him a voice. And yeah, man, really compelling how this guy emerged in the field and quickly put together 2 little Billy Carson type books. Yeah, man. Well, actually, he's got a 3rd book. I didn't dignify it with an order. He already got some of my money ordering these 2 books. And I'm glad I did, because I'm going to show you what's in them. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to show you what's in these books. But the main thing I'm going to deal with first is what he said about 36 hours ago on somebody's podcast, which is an absolute blatant lie. And somebody who is willing to really utter a lie this big, yeah, it calls into question everything else this person has ever said on any other podcast. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the video clip. One Tux, how you doing? Yeah, man. So let me share my screen real quick. All right. Excellent. Got that right there. Got that window open. Let's do it. How do I say it? Let's do it. All you have to do is go to YouTube. And on YouTube, all you got to do is, here, I'm going to blow this up so you can see these thumbnails better. Yeah, all you got to do is go to YouTube and type in Guy Anderson. Oh, yeah, recently this guy's been busy. He's been hitting the circuit. They unleashed a live one on the Truther community. Yeah, check this guy out. So this is like a couple days ago, all in the last week. This guy's everywhere. Mystic Gateway Podcast. You know who that is. You know whose pretty smile that is right there. I'm not talking about Guy Anderson. You guys know Greg. Higher Side Chats. Isn't his name Carlwood? Greg Carlwood, Higher Side Chats. Yeah, he's on there. Bewitching him. He's here's our star right here for the day. Here's our star right here at some type of seminar, conference. Here he is talking about Cabbage Patch Kids with Typical Skeptic. I've been on Typical Skeptic's show, I believe. I have. I can't remember. I've been on like 300 podcasts. I don't remember everybody. Yeah, man, but look at him. He's everywhere. This guy's everywhere. He's talking to Guy Anderson, this dude here. Here's Guy again. He's going through it. Tartarians for nothing and your masonry for free. Guy Anderson. News Paste Podcast with Johnny Vedmore. Johnny Vedmore. cataclysms, resets, and transhumanism. Guy Anderson, man, this dude knows everything. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. Cloning and Tartaria with Guy Anderson. This is that guy I called out for a debate on Satan's Little Season. Yeah, he told his community he don't need to debate nothing. I agree with him. You ain't got to debate. I just want you to know I'm here, and anytime you want to talk about it, yeah, I'm going to give you the business. Satan's Little Season's a dumbass theory. But here he is with JT follows JC, Guy Anderson. Disclosure in the movies. Max Palazzi, a bunch of, I think it's Palazzi, I don't know right. Don't give me the line about these names, guys. Oh, man, here it is. He's talking about NASA lying to us. Oh, my God. NASA lying. I mean, I don't know who this woman is. 6,000 views. Here he is again with this dude. They talk a lot. Who built this? Look, he's everywhere. All I'm doing is just going through here showing you the guy's everywhere. Guy is everywhere. And listen, for those new to my channel, you don't know me and how I do these little expositions on different media personalities who I distrust. Yeah, this isn't out of jealousy. Yeah, my research and this man's research aren't even on the same level. We may be living in the same world, but we're not even in the same universe. This guy here is nowhere near my echelon of understanding of the operations of our world and the history of our world. And I'm going to show it to you. You can develop your own opinions, but I am absolutely unimpressed. So here he is with Gareth Icke. That's Gareth Icke right there. You see a lot of this lately. A lot of people are using AI thumbnails to put themselves in AI. See this right here? A lot. Gareth looks pretty good right there in the AI shot. So he and Gareth Icke, that's David Icke's son. So Iconic is now looking at Guy Anderson. Go figure. Oh man, I got some stuff to show you in this video. Here it is. Guy Anderson talking about them reptilians. Man, this guy is he's hitting every truther topic. Every one of them. Yeah, man. Here's the Moors. Guy's real big on the stolen history deal, showing that the black people invented and made everything before white people ever came around. You remember in past presentations, guys, I'm going to explain it in this video, but it's one of the communist techniques that was released into social media in order to get white Europeans to denigrate their own histories and to, yeah, man, it's all a part of a very calculated agenda. Let's go ahead and get some white folks out there talking about how bad white folks are and black people did everything. Yeah, that's his message. That's one of his core messages. Yeah, that's Guy Anderson, guy. That's Guy Anderson, guys. So, unwritten files. Okay, he's talking about Tesla. Here's Guy Anderson and some dude. What is that? Chris. Man, I never even heard of all these podcasts. I'm so sheltered. I live such a sheltered life. You know who this is? You know who that is? He did 6 years in an Arizona prison or a New Mexico prison, one of them. He's from the UK. He's back in the UK, I believe. But Sean Atwood. How did Guy Anderson weasel his way all the way up to getting a podcast with somebody who's got 1.3 million subs? How did that happen? Oh, they're networking. I'm going to show you. Look, this goes on. Look at this. Man, Guy Anderson, man, he's giving us the business on Antarctica. Look at him go, man. I don't even know who this tattooed bald-head Viking-looking dude is. I don't know, man, but I think I'd like to talk to him. I need to find out who that is. I don't know who Lynn Flowers. I don't know who it is. Cosmic Way Shower. I don't know. That's some GG Young stuff there. The Conspiracy Show. Anyway, this is a really good example. There he is with old Campbell. Autodidactic. Funny thing about that. Funny thing I'm going to show you about his books. All the people he cites in his books that influenced him about Tartaria. It's funny when you see the names that aren't there. Yeah, man, this guy is not who you think he is, guys. If you've invested any modicum of faith in this guy here, I'm going to challenge that, especially with one video clip. It's going to blow your mind what I caught. Yeah, man. Shouldn't have done that podcast. Man, all about the clones and the incubators and the orphan trains, yeah, in the insane asylums. Man, Guy Anderson, he knows every single element of conspiracy within the truther community. This guy knows it all. He's got it down. Every bit of it. There he is with Campbell again. I don't know who this guy is. Mental mastery. I don't know what that is. It's all real. There's Guy. I don't know who these girls are, but here he is talking about mermaids are real. It's amazing. All right, so the Guy Anderson, well, this is Guy Anderson too. Here's another Guy Anderson. Yeah, it's a lot. This guy has been getting around. And look, I'm not hating on him for getting around. I've never even heard of 90% of these podcasts. Not hurting my feelings a bit. Uh-oh. There's Campbell again. Yeah, man. For those of you who don't know, yeah, Campbell's been real passive aggressive towards Archaics, and I'm cool with that. You know what, man? I say it all the time. People are going to outgrow you, and you're going to outgrow other souls in the construct. And every bit of that's okay. No hard feelings. We all move on. For whatever reasons, I still don't know today. I honestly suspect Dawn has been behind the scenes emailing everybody that'll listen to her lies. But you know what? I haven't heard from Martin Leakey. So you know what? I wrote that off too. It's time to move on. I'm not gonna cry over stuff like that. But yeah, Guy Anderson's been everywhere. And then when you get to these videos and from 2020, there's another Guy Anderson. 2022, 2021, he disappears. Nowhere to be seen. So the guy has been around. He's been making the rounds. So what are we dealing with here? Well, I do come qualified. To make this assessment. I've been in the community for, a good 7 years now. But I've been in publishing for 20 years. I've been in research for over 30 years. And I come qualified because I've read his books. I'm going to prove it to you. Yeah, this is his first published book. Here's the second one. I've got both of them. He's written the third. But I can tell from the second book here, which doesn't really have anything new that the first book didn't have. It could have just wrote one book, but it's okay. I'm going to give it to him. He's got these two books, and I'm going to show you actual pictures of what he put on those pages, what he wrote. So I come qualified, not because I have a background in research and publishing, and I'm very well read, but I'm a chronologist, I'm a historian, and I've read his books. So I'm not some guy just hating on this dude. I'm not. I'm going to show you some legitimate shit that's real troublesome. And I'm not the only one that's seeing it. So this guy, the only reason you're getting this video today is because on Sean Atwood's podcast with 1.3 million, subs, they got like 100,000 views or whatever very fast. Sean Atwood was even blown away. He was like, he kept looking at the ticker like, damn, I can't believe how many people are watching this live and all that. So I found it very intriguing that toward the end of the video, Guy Anderson, which I'm not aware that he has ever said my name in any other podcast, but on the largest podcast he has ever done, he drops my name. Doesn't say anything bad. He just cites something that I said about the bells. So I didn't think much of it, but it got my attention. And I'm thinking, oh, he's going to be following this up with an email asking to come on my channel, which the answer was already going to be no. He can talk good about me on 10, 10, 20, 30, 100 channels. I don't give a damn. It wasn't even 4 days later, he's on another podcast. On this podcast, he goes off talking name dropping me again. That's what it's called, name dropping. He's name dropping me again. Was on a podcast that I've been a guest on twice. So that's what we're going to deal with right here. Share my screen, show you something else. We're getting straight into it. We're going to get straight into it. I love you people in London too. Why are you afraid of him? Oh, who is this? And Nick Qua Hartley. Yeah, I explained everything there. Why am I afraid of him? Well, you ain't been around our cakes very long. That's comical. See. All right. No, Sean didn't drop my name. Sean didn't drop my name at all. This guy did. Oh, I don't even care. It doesn't matter if he agrees with simulation theory or not. It doesn't. None of that matters. None of that matters. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and lead by example. Yeah, you in the chat talking about I'm hating and you haven't even listened to the evidence. Goodbye. You just got banned. Yeah, it's zero tolerance here. I don't give a damn about your feelings. All we do is peddle facts right here in Archaics. Now, share my screen. Get to it. Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of his little worshipers and followers appearing in the chat. Yeah, I'm not trying to hear it. Give a damn about them. Share my screen again. Yeah. We've never seen you in our chat before. You come in here running your mouth, you're gone. You don't even get a second chance. You're going to come in here respectful. I can't believe my mods even let me X one out before. Yeah, they never let me get them. They always get them before I do. Can't believe it. Okay, so on the screen you see right here, this is the Sean Atwood video right here where he just kind of dropped my name. And I was like, it was really perplexing because me and this guy, he's got to know. This guy's got to know that there's no way in hell I'm going to network with him. I mean, I'm not going to entertain him. So I don't know why he's trying to butter up to me and try. I guess he thought I was going to invite him on Archaics. I don't know. So right after that, he goes on another podcast with Chris Mathau of Forbidden Knowledge News. You remember the two times I was a guest on Chris's show? Man, his show's kind of taken off. He's got some badass thumbnails. He's got some awesome guests. Listen, man, I don't really plug a lot of YouTubers a lot, but Forbidden Knowledge News, yeah, man, I would check him out. If you run the gamut on the Archaics videos and you want to change, yeah, I would go to Chris's channel, Forbidden Knowledge News. I would go check out things like Library of the Untold. Go check him out. There are some other channels that have some compelling stuff, but Library of the Untold is different than Forbidden Knowledge News. Chris is a podcaster. He's interviewing innovative and interesting people with unusual and interesting concepts. Library of the Untold is doing concept research, all the different mysteries that are out there in the field, and giving us either more information on it or his spin on it. So yeah, it's totally different, but yeah, you could certainly check out Forbidden Knowledge News. But anyway, it was in this video. It was in this video here that Guy Anderson said something that I'm just going to have to let you hear it. I'm going to let you hear it. We're going to run through it twice. First, I'm just going to let you hear it without telling you anything. Then I'm going to give you the business about what the hell's really being said here. And then I'm going to let you listen to it again. Yeah, I ain't got to make anything up. I don't have to make a damn thing up. Let's see here. All right. We're going to get to Oh, I got so many files. Why do I do this to myself? There it is. All I had to look for the guy file. That's all I had to do.
Cause Antarctica to completely cover it be covered in ice, that would take a significant event that would have to be worldwide, and that has to be, the more I researched it, connected to a pole shift. So I started bouncing this around. I don't know if everybody will know this person, but Jason from Archaics.
Yes, I've had him on.
Yeah, so I started bouncing this around with Jason, and I've been talking to him about this for probably, in amongst other conversations about dogs and stuff, and rubber ducks, which is a strange. We were talking about the rubber ducks again today, but I think the pole shift took place. And he was I suppose I wanted his opinion on it, because I thought if anybody's going to sort of do a deep dive into this, it's probably Jason. And so I expected him to either say, well, I've looked into that and no, it couldn't have taken place because of X, Y, and Z, or yes, I think it might have done. And when the more information I gave him, he said, well, you could be onto something there. Because it does make sense, keep digging. And since then we've been talking a bit more about it, and it's impossible. It's like Tesla trying to find this information. So that's the anomaly.
Okay, you heard it. You heard the clip. I'm gonna let you listen to it again. But before you listen to that clip again, I'm going to show you this right here, because every bit of this is absolutely factual. What you just heard should have never come out of that man's mouth, but it did. So the first item we're going to deal with right here, guy claims he communicated with me conversationally about Antarctica. I'm telling you now, that's not true. I have never spoken to that man in my life. Not through emails, not through telephone, not on a podcast, never. Guy implied he and I have had conversations. Not true. I don't know this guy from Adam. Guy claims he and I talked about dogs. That's not true. Guy claims he and I talked about rubber ducks. That's not true. Guy claims that the more information I gave him, Jason claimed you could be onto something there. That shit never happened. Yeah. None of that shit ever happened. There are 5 lies here, uttered while also delivering me another compliment about the integrity of my research. Freestyling lies. You know what? Hold on. Before we even do that, oh no, I'm gonna let you listen to that again. Now that you know that he and I have never communicated, never spoke, never done email exchanges, he'll never ever be able to produce an email from me. Yeah, we have never been on a podcast together. This dude went on Forbidden Knowledge News and just freestyled a bunch of lies, trying to say that I supported his theory. And I'm going to tell you now, I don't even support his theory, because what he's doing is manipulating the facts, because I've already got 6 videos explaining why Antarctica is covered in snow and ice now, but it wasn't 550 years ago. He's throwing shit in the game, trying to get you to believe in a phenomenon that a lot of other researchers are on board with, but none of them will ever entertain what Archaics has brought to the table about why this happened. I'm going to get to you. Let's listen to it again. That's why the thumbnail says lie. Yeah, I don't call somebody a liar lightly. I call him a shill or a grifter, but this guy's straight up liar.
Antarctica doesn't make sense. To cause Antarctica to completely cover it be covered in ice, that would take a significant event that would have to be worldwide, and that has to be, the more I researched it, connected to a pole shift. So I started bouncing this around. I don't know if everybody will know this person, but Jason from Archaics.
Yes, I've had him on.
Yeah, so I started bouncing this around with Jason, and I've been talking to him about this for probably, in amongst other conversations about dogs and stuff, and rubber ducks, which is a strange. We were talking about the rubber ducks again today, but I think the pole shift took place. And he was I suppose I wanted his opinion on it, because I thought if anybody's going to sort of do a deep dive into this, it's probably Jason. And so I expected him to either say, well, I've looked into that and no, it couldn't have taken place because of X, Y, and Z, or yes, I think it might have done. And when the more information I gave him, he said, well, you could be onto something there. Because it does make sense, keep digging. And since then we've been talking a bit more about it, and it's impossible. It's like Tesla trying to find this information. So that's the anomaly. Antarctica doesn't make sense.
All right. So continue here. So this conversation never happened. We've never been in multiple conversations. We've never talked before. Yeah. And these are claims that he's really familiar with me. Yeah. Not that he's receiving emails from somebody unknown that's impersonating me. No, he is 100% alluding to familiarity. Now, let me explain where he got that shit. So, guy pushes the mysteries of Antarctica as explained by a pole shift, covered in ice, but old maps show vegetation and large animals. But I do not claim this is from a pole shift. That's a lie. Everyone in my community knows my research involves vapor canopy cycles. All my videos talking about the Dark Ages and the Middle Ages and the vapor canopy cycles and parthenogenetic changes in all flora and fauna in the world is because there's only two cycles. We're either in a vapor canopy or we're in an ice age. And we're at the end of an ice age right now. So, yeah, this was a hijacking. This was an attempt to control narrative. Yeah. Dude ain't been talking to me, but he tried to make it sound like he's been real familiar. Let me show you where he got it. So everyone who watches me knows that I love dogs. I talk about Bella. I show pictures of my dogs. Anybody who watches my videos knows that I love dogs. But the rubber duck reference that mystified a bunch of you is not a mystery, because anybody who follows my X accounts and my underground accounts and my earlier Facebook posts will know of the famous rubber duck image that I've posted for years. Anytime I'm clowning ancient aliens, I post this image. I've posted it many times. Right there. There's one of the aliens holding a rubber duck in a deal. This is an old image. I just reposted it 2 weeks ago on X. So anyway, so last week on Sean Atwood, a huge channel, Guy Anderson name dropped me knowing people were going to bring it to my attention. He knew people were going to say, "Hey, Jason, Guy Anderson was on Sean Atwood, and he just talking about you, man." And he made sure it was a compliment. Then he followed it with another compliment 4 days later on another podcast and absolutely invented a narrative that did not exist in order to push pole shift when it's completely opposite of vapor canopy. Complete opposite. Yeah. The Sean Atwood quote was 100% me talking about the bells and why they were taken down from the cathedrals and the churches. Well, something I recently talked about on YouTube and in the underground. So, yeah, it was an accurate quote. In the second part, he just freestyled, thinking since I didn't say nothing about the first podcast, he just freestyled a bunch of bullshit on the second one. Yeah, shit ain't cool. In psychology today, we have this as the description of a pathological liar. Somebody who can so freely just spit. I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to show you from his books. Same behavior. This is not an anomaly. So The condition involves a persistent, often effortless pattern of fabricating elaborate stories, including false conversations, claims about what others said or did, or exaggerated personal narratives that are presented as true. These are told with fluency, detail, and dramatic flair, animated voice, charisma, and engaging storytelling to captivate audiences, even without clear external gain like money or avoiding punishment. The person may partially or fully believe their own fabrications or experience a high from the imaginative process and attention it brings. This behavior is consistent with narcissistic personality disorder. So I'm going to ask you, Guy Anderson has rapidly done 50 podcasts. How much of what he said in all those podcasts was total bullshit? How many lies has this dude freestyled? If he could so brazenly lie about a conversation, about conversating with me, then what other bold deceptions has Guy Anderson promoted out there in the podcast sphere? Yeah. Now that you know all that and why the lie was even told, shoot. Listen to it again.
Antarctica to completely cover it be covered in ice. That would take a significant event that would have to be worldwide. And that has to be, the more I researched it, connected to a pole shift. So I started bouncing this around. I don't know if everybody will know this person, but Jason from Archaics.
Yes, I've had him on.
Yeah, so I started bouncing this around with Jason, and I've been talking to him about this for probably, in amongst other conversations about dogs and stuff, and rubber ducks, which is a strange. We were talking about the rubber ducks again today. But I think the pole shift took place. And he was I suppose I wanted his opinion on it, because I thought if anybody's going to sort of do a deep dive into this, it's probably Jason. And so I expected him to either say, well, I've looked into that and no, it couldn't have taken place because of X, Y, and Z, or yes, I think it might have done. And when the more information I gave him, he said, well, you could be onto something there. Because it does make sense, keep digging. And since then we've been talking a bit more about it, and it's impossible. It's like Tesla trying to find this information.
All right, I'm not gonna play it no more. I'm done beating him up. Now it's time to get into his books, because we know exactly what Guy Anderson is being groomed for. Recently I've been telling you guys, man, watch out, because we certainly have major moves behind the scenes in the truther community. I told you guys over a year ago that when mainstream media is losing the narrative, alt media is becoming more and more popular. Well, that's when the intelligence agencies start networking all the alt channels and networking them together. Well, Archaics is on the outside looking in. That's why I can objectively see all this. I'm not a participant. I have been ostracized from the greater community. Yeah, I got problems with David Icke, with the Iconic. I got problems with the Ancient Aliens franchise. You guys know I got problems with Ancient Apocalypse. I want to debate everybody. I'm going to show you their faces in this video. I got a whole new list now. I got to add Guy Anderson to it. I want to debate all these people because they're full of shit. This is all about the money. It's not about the truth. Never has been. I was fooled into believing that it was about the truth years ago, but David Icke's gone on too far. Too far. Graham Hancock's gone on too far. Randall Carson's gone on too far. Billy Carson has gone on too far. But I see it now. I see what's going on. Ancient Aliens was an independent phenomenon in the truther community. Ancient mysteries and ancient civilizations and the Graham Hancock type stuff was also its own genre, and there was very little crossover. Because you'll have to understand, man, Randall Carson and Graham Hancock have been very, very careful to not promote extraterrestrials and aliens. But all of a sudden, they're doing all kinds of conferences and networking with Billy Carson. Yeah, Billy Carson is networking with Alex Jones. What? Yeah, it's crazy. Billy Carson's networking with David Icke. And now you see this guy here is already in the door with Gareth Icke. Yeah, Gareth Icke is going to be the gatekeeper for David Icke. It's all coming together. I'm making a prediction right now. Because the community at large is pretty stupid. Not you guys, not those who are really awakened, but the general public is dumb AF. I'm making a prediction that Guy Anderson is going to be brought into that fold, because we already see them all networking together. Guy Anderson's going to be brought into that fold to bridge in all the Tartaria research. And it's garbage too. I'm about to go through it. It's garbage. But he's the Billy Carson of the Tartaria narrative. By putting Guy Anderson on a pedestal up there with Billy Carson, David Icke, Graham Hancock, he's going to be the representative to the larger masses. He's going to be one that's going to be pushed. And I know he's listening to me right now. He loves hearing this because this dude's a shill. He's a shill to the bone. But this is what he wanted. He appeared out of nowhere, started doing podcast networking. I've been through his books, and I'm telling you now, not a single thing in these books wasn't already on Martin Leakey's channel, Autodidactic's channel, John Levy's channel, Jared Boosters, and Tartaria, all the little Tartaria channels that are struggling. Yeah, they already covered all these topics ad nauseum. This guy here, Guy Anderson, does not bring anything new to the table. He has no bibliographies in his books. This man is the Billy Carson of Tartaria. He copy and pastes all this information and just slaps it in. And listen, his books remind me of like Billy Carson going through all the Facebook groups. Oh, we got Anunnaki groups here. Harvest all the best posts, turn them into chapters, publish a book. Oh, here's Emerald Tablets, Mysticism, NDEs, OBEs. Let's scoop all this up, harvest it all up, divide it into chapters, publish it as a book. Yeah, just harvesting posts off of Facebook. Because that's what Billy Carson's books read just like. Even to the citation of internet links as sources. I'm sure you guys know I've already done the book reviews on Billy Carson. They're embarrassing. But his books are the same. They're better written. They are better written and better presented, but it's the same thing. It's the amalgamation of other people's research for which he's not going to actually name. I'm going to show you. So let's get to, so we're done with that file. Yeah. Oh yeah. You guys think this is all about Tartaria, huh? I'm going to show you what Guy Anderson is doing. It ain't about Tartaria. This man knows exactly what he's doing. And there's a reason why he's being astroturfed into position. And all these Tartaria guys like Autodidactic and Martin Leakey and everybody who's networked with this dude in the past, he's going to leave them all behind because they were stepping stones to get where he's trying to go. His books basically give up exactly what his agenda is. This is a name-dropping SOB. Yeah. Let's get into it. Check my chat right here. Go troll slaying. Let me find a troll real quick. I felt kind of good about myself about blocking that other one. Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, this dude blatantly lied about all that. How much can you even trust? All these guys like Greg Carlwood. Greg Carlwood of Higher Side Chats. Look, man, he's supposed to be a high standard. He could be the next, he's the next big thing. Higher Side Chats is moving up. Yeah, man. But you had this dude on your podcast, and he got busted in a blatant lies. A lie that had an agenda attached to it. Yeah. Which everybody I'll call out is trying to avoid the vapor canopy issue. Yeah, man. Oh, so Guy Anderson and Billy Carson have already networked? I didn't know that. I did not know that. But it falls into line with what I'm telling you right now. I already see what they're doing. They're going to bring him in because later on in this video, toward the end of this video, I'm going to show you the ads of the people networking together. The only thing missing, they bridged Ancient Aliens and Ancient Mysteries. They bridged it. They bridged Hancock and Billy Carson, the ultimate grifter, grifter alpha, the alpha grifter, Billy Carson, William Tyrone Carlson. Yeah, man, the name stealer. He's now in the center around it. The only thing they're missing before they can create a whole new narrative network is somebody to represent Tartaria. It's the ultimate grift too. So they need somebody. And they already got him. And I'm going to show you from his books why he's being chosen. Yeah, he's an ass kisser. Yeah, man. So dumb. It's all so dumb. Let me get back to the bottom of my chat. Make sure people are behaving. Yeah, let's go look at this. Let's take a look at these books, man. Oh, I got some good stuff to show you. Who in the hell is blowing up my phone in the middle? That's got to be dear old dad. Share my screen. All right. Yeah, man, there's one right there. That's one of his books right there. Make sure that ain't dear old dad trying to blow my phone up. All right. Rise of the Clones, the Cabbage Patch Babies, Guy Anderson. What an impressive cover. Here's the other one. Tesla and the Cabbage Patch Kids. Okay. So he's got a third book, but I'm not thinking it's going to be, I'm only dealing with these two books. I haven't ordered the third one, so I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm not even going to talk about it. But we're going to get into it right now because he's got some really unusual things that he believes. So first of all, we're going to go straight to we're going to go straight to the heart of the matter. Share my screen again. We're going to go straight to the heart of the matter right here. Now, Guy Anderson is being raised, and he is putting himself out as an authority on Tartaria. Do you know that almost all the people that push the Tartaria narrative, some of these guys are serious researchers? Yeah, almost none of them entertain Zechariah Sitchin. Almost none of them entertain anything ancient aliens. These guys are serious researchers talking about what really happened in the history of the world. Why are there so many cover-ups? Why are there so many discrepancies in the chronology? Why are the history books been altered? What's going on? They avoid the ancient aliens deals, but not Guy Anderson. Guy Anderson is being groomed to be the official, like, mainstream voice of Tartaria. Yeah, this is like intelligence agency hijacking of a narrative. That's what's happening here. One of the major things that he pushes in his book, not just on one page. Oh no, I'm about to show you. Guy Anderson pushes Zechariah Sitchin's version of ancient aliens and the Anunnaki living hundreds of thousands of years ago. He totally ignores the shard chronology that has been corrected in Archaics, showing that everything was actually 5,000 years ago. He ignores all that. As a matter of fact, he ignores 100% of Archaics data. Yeah, everything. But I know he knows about me because a year and a half ago, he emailed me trying to get on my channel. So the Anunnaki arrived on Earth around 450,000 years ago from the 12th planet, as referred to by Zechariah Sitchin. There it is. I'm not making anything up. Nibiru passed through Earth's orbit every 3,600 years and was now clearly visible even during the day. This was published in 2025, guys. I corrected all Zechariah Sitchin's chronological mistakes. They were corrected in 2020 and in 2021 on the Archaics channel, and most of you already know that. This book was published in 2025, still promoting the Shill Sitchin narrative, for which not one single YouTuber, author, researcher, or public personality has ever agreed to debate me about. Absolutely collapsed that narrative with data, showing you all the ancient authors who who even collapsed that 3,600 year narrative. Yeah, man. He's still pushing it. The next time Nibiru enters Earth's orbit will be in 2900 AD. Still pushing that false Zechariah Sitchin narrative. 29 to get you. It's just like younger Dryas. Graham Hancock and all these others that follow Graham Hancock trying to get you to find your answers in the Ice Age 12,000 years ago, which is supposed to be the reason why the world is the way it is today. And in looking 12,000 years back, you're going to miss 58 years of chronologically precise documented history in Archaics, which shows cataclysm resets at mathematically predictable years. Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Trying to get you to accept a younger Dryas comet impact theory, trying to get you to accept an Atlantis 9600 BC theory, because it avoids all the true historical stuff that we have recorded all throughout history. What I tell you from the beginning, inception of my channel, this is not a mistake. Graham Hancock did not make a mistake when the communists published their manifesto and the communists flooded the United States and other Western countries. They made it a point. They bragged about it in their own little gazettes and their own communications and in the newspapers. They bragged about how they were going to get all Western nations to completely forget their history. They were going to create all kinds of bullshit narratives and get everybody to believe so much false shit that even the CIA director could recently say that we will know when we have done our job, when no one knows what the hell to believe anymore. The CIA is nothing but the Goyim version of the Israeli Mossad. So none of this is accidental. None of it. Trying to get you to look at 2900 BC so you don't pay attention to what's about to happen to this world in 14 more years. Here it is right here. So dumb. A bunch of the Tartaria narrative is all communist. Every bit of it. Yeah, trying to claim black people were here in 1776. Well, I'm going to show you. 1776 was the true reset. And white people replaced black people that were already here. And man, shut up. Just shut up. I got books from the early 1700s before when we were still a colony. I've showed you on my channel those old books right here in my library. So dumb. Here's oh man, Amun-Ra, also known as Marduk, was the greatest of all Egyptian pharaohs, gods, deities, and was a descendant of Enki, the Anunnaki that, along with his brother Enlil, created man as we know him today. Enki had married a human female, despite knowing it was forbidden, and their offspring were to be the beginning of the 13 bloodlines that rule today. Half Anunnaki, half human. This is Billy Carson. This isn't even Guy Anderson. This is Billy Carson. But it doesn't even matter. It's so dumb. Anunnaki were human, just like the humans that they intermarried with. It's cargo cult phenomenon. We've already explained this in Archaics many times. We're dealing with a technologically advanced post-reset society that came in contact with the Neolithic primitive society of short stature with dark hair and dark straight black hair and dark eyes. Caucasians intermarried among them, and the offspring were considered to be very unusual. They're very intelligent. They're very beautiful. Some of them even grew to huge sizes, way bigger than the locals, the indigenous population. This is the origin. This whole 13 bloodlines deals, there's nothing about that in the historical record. It is all of late provenance. This is some G.G. Young dark journalist bullshit. This 13 bloodline shit is all newly created in the last 200 years. There is nothing in the historical record about 13 bloodlines at all. This is one of Billy Carson's crap pieces of research. Let's see. However, I believe, as do a growing number of people, that the association of a cabbage with newborn babies is a lot darker and in fact refers to human cloning. The Anunnaki, that's why I'm showing this page. He's bridging cloning, Anunnaki, and the year 1776, the birth of the United States. The Anunnaki did it, and today we can do it. So why would this not have been possible after the reset of 1776? What reset? You're asking a question with a heavy inference that this is true, and it's not. There's no reset in 1776 at all. The only thing that happened in 1776 was the next year, 1777. We have so many gazettes, newspapers, and books from that period still existing today. It's ridiculous that anybody would even believe this. I've got several books from the early 1700s that don't show anything of any other world other than the same world of 1776. Nothing happened. And those books are older than 1776, so you have to fix your reset date. Your reset date must be way before these books came into existence. Yeah, it's crazy. So here he is bridging Cabbage Patch Kids, cloning, Anunnaki, and 1776, birth of the United States, birth of the New World Order. That's all he says. This is a bridge here. Again, he's bridging more concepts right here. If we follow the story of the Anunnaki, then this technology existed over 200,000 years ago. Red flag. And the chances of it becoming lost or destroyed are slim. That's another red flag. If you really believe something was created 2,000 years ago that still exists today, that's a huge red flag. The suspension of disbelief is monolithic. In fact, I would argue that the parasites have knowledge of, thank you, Tim Duffy, have knowledge of or even possess technology that is not only thousands of years old, possibly Atlantean. He just bridged Anunnaki with Atlantis, not the Atlantis that is factual in the 13th century BC during the pre-Greek Mycenaean time, but the Atlantis of the mystics like G.G. Young and Dark Journalist and Graham Hancock and Billy Carson, all of them promoting an Atlantis in the Ice Age 10,000 years ago. But far exceeds what we are aware of today. Now, used by the deep state, there he goes. He just bridged Anunnaki to the 200,000-year-old technology that supposedly exists today, possibly from Atlantis 12,000 years ago, and possessed by the deep state today. He's bridging all these. This guy has harvested every single theory from the truther community and built a narrative with them in his book. This is what he has done. But it's not only what he's done, but he's also name dropped all the right people who are in key positions to pull him up. Yeah, it's blatant what he's done. The answer to this question could possibly be that the Homo sapien is the result of genetic engineering. Did a race of beings known as the Anunnaki tweak our DNA to create the perfect slave race? Again, this is Billy Carson. This is Zechariah Sitchin. Every bit of it. As a side note, researchers like Billy Carson, name dropping, now believe that the pyramids in Egypt were actually built 36,000 years ago, long before 2550 BC, as the narrative would like us to believe. In fact, get this, in fact, the height of the Great Pyramid of Giza is the average height of every mountain peak in the world. This is the dumbest statement I've ever heard. The Great Pyramid is only 450 feet tall. Hills are taller than 450 feet. Mountains are way taller than 450 feet, or they wouldn't be a mountain. That's the dumbest statement I've ever heard. As the narrative, it's just so crazy. In fact, the height of the Great Pyramid of Giza is the average height of every mountain peak in the world. Here's another dumb statement. And the latitude of the Grand Gallery is the same digits as the speed of light. He was looking at a chart, probably produced on Facebook, and didn't really understand what he was looking at, because there's no such thing as the latitude of the Grand Gallery equal to the speed of light. No. Encircling the geometrical square of the Great Pyramid, the number for the speed of light has been produced by a series of measurements. Also, there are people who look at the latitude of the location of the Great Pyramid. the location of the Great Pyramid at 29 degrees north latitude. That number latitude has like 5 or 6 digits that mirror, I think it's the metric speed of light, not the speed of light in miles, but in kilometers. So he's getting his facts all twisted up because he doesn't know shit about the Great Pyramid. What he's doing is copying the mistakes of Billy Carson. Thank you, Benny Riley. It's so dumb. So dumb. The Tartarians built cathedrals across the world. This is another one of the Tartaria deals I just totally disagree with. The Tartarians were destroyers. They were the Avars, the Magyars. They were all these clans in Mongolia were consolidated by Genghis Khan. And then the Khans used this consolidation of nomads to conquer. They raped, pillaged, and plundered. That's what they did. That's what the whole historical record is about the Khans and the Mongols. This is what they did. They invaded all the way south to Persia, all the way into China. They even tried twice to take Japan. Yeah. They went all the way halfway across Russia, not the whole Russia, but halfway across Russia, all the way to the domain of the Cossacks. Later, after they fell back into their nomadic ways, they never built cities. They never built castles. They lived on horses. They were horse archers. All they did was pillage. The Tartarians never built shit. So now the people of Tartary started settling down. And when they started settling down, a body of them ended up in Turkmenistan. In Turkmenistan, in the area of Turkey, they integrated with the local Muslims of Turkey. When they did that, one of them rose to preeminence and became Uthman. Uthman the Tartarian became the first emperor of the Ottoman Turks. The Turks, the Muslim Turks of Turkey in Turkmenistan, these people inherited the blood of Tartaria. Tartaria started in 1212 AD. It's the first time it appears on any maps and inside any books of the time, as I've showed you guys on my channel. But Tartaria just faded away into obscurity because they were just nomads. That's all they were. But the blood of Tartars ended up in Turkmenistan and basically they became the rulers of Turkey. It's called the Ottoman Empire. Anybody can research it. Uthman was the first. If you do any research on Uthman, you'll find out he was originally called Uthman the Tartarian. But they were invading nomads. So no Tartarians. You got to understand the Tartaria narrative begins in 1202 AD. It took Genghis Khan 10 years to unify the clans. Once the clans were unified, word spread outside that domain that area was now one consolidated power under a Khan. So they started calling it Tartaria. It was a geographical designation for an area of far, far eastern Russia, of Siberia, Russia, all the way down into Mongolia. Yeah, it was never an empire. It was never an empire. It didn't have cities that were all well built. And all. It didn't. All it was a whole bunch of wandering nomads. Yeah, called by different names: Scythians, Cimmerians, Avars, Magyars, later Huns, Heruli. They all came from this area and then moved into Europe, founding nations and countries, but not while they were nomads. Once they settled down, so Tartarians didn't build any cathedrals because the first cathedrals were all being built in the 800s, 900s, the 1000s, or the 1100s. Before Tartaria ever came into existence, before any Avars or Magyars or Tartars had ever even wandered into Europe, period. Before that ever happened, Europeans were already building cathedrals. So you can shut up about this dumb shit about Tartarians built cathedrals. It's not even true. So dumb. If that's the case, how come there's no cathedrals all over Turkey, in Turkmenistan, in Afghanistan? Why are they all in Europe? So dumb. where are we? Oh, this is what I marked. Okay. To the sane, unaware, listen to this, to the sane, unaware of its Tartarian influence, a barely defended city with absolutely no military importance whatsoever, hundreds of miles from the front line of war, would be a pointless target, especially as Dresden was also regarded as a hospital city during the conflict. Look, Guy's books don't have evidence to support his wild theories. What they're full of is a bunch of filler about cloning and cloning projects and all these movies that talk about cloning and like World War II. He goes into a long spiel about the Nazis and Dresden and World War II. And somebody who really doesn't understand, like me, you guys already know me. I do not like getting off topic. I'm going to stay on topic. Because when we meander and we go in too many directions and we never make it back, yeah, that's not, you don't take one unknown and add it to another unknown and then claim you know something. That's not how it works. And this is what this guy does a lot. He'll state something as factual and then go off in a long spiel about a bunch of shit, has nothing to prove that fact. But he says so much real shit about World War II and the Nazis and what was really going on and the Rothschilds. And he goes off and talks about all these real things, but none of that at all has anything to do with his proposition, whatever that proposition was at the beginning of that chapter. It's just filler. So a lot of guys do this. A lot of bullshit artists do this. But this is what his books are about. But Dresden wasn't Tartarian. As a matter of fact, the Tartars, the Magyars, the Avars, none of them. The people of Tartary, none of them. The Mongols, none of them have ever in recorded history ever invaded Germany. Dresden, Germany is not Tartarian. It's just dumb. So this whole thing about, he goes off a long time in this chapter trying to explain why the United States and the UK actually firebombed Dresden. They wanted to destroy all the Tartarian architecture. Okay, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not communist. I'm not communist, and I know the truth. And that's a communist explanation, because the communists don't want you to know that the Bolshevik financiers who were in control of the Royal Air Force and the United States Army and Air Force back in World War II, because the United States in World War II was a captured operation, and we fought against the Germans for the Jews. We fought a Jewish war. Dresden was not a military target. Dresden was nothing but civilians. And it was a whole bunch of children. And they chose a date when children were where it was a children's festival, and the streets were full of all these children. It's a festival they do every year in Dresden. And they specifically chose that date, and they firebombed Dresden, and they liquefied 200,000 people. This was retribution. This was Jewish retaliation against the Germans. It wasn't a military objective. This guy right here, Guy Anderson, is giving you the communist spiel about why Dresden was firebombed. No, it wasn't to destroy Tartarian deals. It was because the Jews wanted to stick it to the Germans. That's the only reason why they were firebombed. It wasn't a military objective, and it was nothing but civilians who were incinerated. Stupid. So dumb. So dumb. We know who Guy Anderson is. We know who he's working for. Absolutely. Tell the truth and shame the devil. So, let's see. I have to admit, I have been joining dots together here for the last 5 years. Germany had been a major Tartarian civilization for hundreds of years, and perhaps, and most significant in Europe. Or did he frame that as a question? Let me read that again, because he framed that as a question, but it doesn't start that way. Hold on. I have to admit, I have been joining dots together here for the last 5 years. New sentence. Germany had been a major Tartarian civilization for hundreds of years, and perhaps the most significant in Europe. So he states a fact, ends it as a question so he can give himself some wiggle room. Not only was Germany saturated with Tartarian architecture, total bullshit, guys. Absolute bullshit. Germany was not. Germany has no Tartarian architecture. All of that badass Romanesque, Gothic, Greek style architecture, all of that uniquely Baroque, Norman type architecture, yeah, that's distinctly German. I'm not going to let Guy Anderson gaslight me into stealing from the German heritage things that their ancestors built. Yeah, man, F you. Had nothing to do with no mythical Tartaria. The Germans and their forefathers are the ones that built all those badass structures, built those badass cities, and it wasn't some mythical deal. It's the exact same thing the Bolsheviks did when they took over Russia. They rewrote the history books and had Russian children now learning a whole new Russian narrative that didn't even exist. They totally forgot that they had conquered Constantinople, that they had fought the Norman Vikings, that they had gone, that the Russian people had sent expeditions hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles to the south, maybe thousands of miles to the south, all the way to Constantinople, the Russian fleets. They totally forgot all this shit because their histories were rewritten by Bolshevik Jews. The same way that in social media, all these truthers are rewriting the history of the world right now using people like Guy Anderson. It's total bullshit. Yeah, if you got any German blood in you whatsoever, you should be proud of those badass, all the masonry, all the badass naval fleets, all the German engineering. Yeah, it's not called Tartarian engineering. It's called German engineering, and everybody in the world wants it. Those people know how to build shit. Oh, yeah, they do. World War II saw the destruction of some of the world's most incredible buildings and cities, such as Dresden, considered to be a major Tartarian city with huge importance to the Tartarian people. What happened to this city defies all human logic and was by any measurement an atrocity. Just gaslighting you, man. There's nothing Tartarian about Germany. Germany is German. And maybe even some Bohemian, from the past. Certainly some Prussian. Germany is Germany. So what is this? Oh, yeah. Still name dropping. Have you wondered why so many places across the world look so familiar? I'm not just talking about pyramids. That with thanks to years of hard work and research by people like Graham Hancock and Freddie Silva, we now know are not exclusive to Egypt. Are you a moron? This is the most moronic statement in the world. You're thanking Freddie Silva and Graham Hancock that we now know that pyramids are all over the world and not just in Egypt? Come on, guys. I can't be the only one. Please put a 1. Please just put a 1 in the chat if you think that this was the dumbest statement ever. Please don't make it look like I'm picking on this guy. Put a number 1 if you agree that Guy Anderson said something super stupid at the same time that he's really trying to get Graham Hancock's attention. Yeah, man. So dumb, man. It's so dumb, man. I'm not just talking about pyramids that with thanks to years of hard work and research by people like Graham Hancock and Freddie Silva, we now know are not exclusive to Egypt. You're a moron. Mr. Anderson, you're fired. That is such a dumb statement. Yeah. Guys, I have a library full of books about pyramids all over the world. Some of these books are 3.5 centuries old. So dumb. So dumb, man. He's name dropping. That's an attempt to get Hancock's attention, just like this is too. And I'm going to tell you now, Graham Hancock loves it when these dudes suck his ass. Jimmy Corsetti sucked ass and got to talk to Graham Hancock. Who else? What's that real preppy looking dude? Michael Button. Yeah. Dude comes out of nowhere and in 11 months already has hundreds of thousands of subscribers. In 11 months. In 10 months on YouTube, Michael Button, who only has a BA in archaeology, comes out of nowhere and he's talking to Graham Hancock. Yeah, man, they're trying to groom this dude to be the next Graham Hancock. Graham Hancock's old. They need somebody to carry the grift. The grift must continue. The personality's not important. That's why they hate my guts. I'm always on Graham Hancock's ass because he's a coward. He's a coward, and I believe that he is employed by intelligence agencies because there's no way in the hell he can believe this shit. Not the way I have completely dismantled his thesis with absolutely verifiable facts. And yet he still pushes it over and over. Well, okay, well, that's agenda. You're no longer actually believe this shit. It's agenda driven. So yeah. Actually, I think he should be prosecuted. Yeah, that's my opinion. Graham Hancock should be prosecuted. So should his son. Yeah, I mean, shit. I didn't get a Netflix deal, and my data is far superior to Graham Hancock's, and it's way more interesting. But I didn't get a Netflix deal. Oh, I don't have anybody related. My son doesn't work as a director in Netflix. That's why I tripped out. I should have made that connection. If I could have a son and get him to go work at Netflix and work his way all the way up to a director, then I'll get my show on Netflix. That's how it works. Yeah, man. Nepotism rules the world. Don't worry, Guy Anderson. You're on your way to the top. I'm predicting that. I'm predicting they got a special place for you. Yeah, they tried to groom Michael Button, but nobody believes him. He's such a dolt. He's such a dumbass. His channel ain't even doing nothing. He's in absolute stasis. This dude, look, if you get plugged, I'm just going to tell you, I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't care who you are on social media. I don't care who you are on YouTube. If you get the shot to be on Joe Rogan and then afterward your channel's still flailing, you just suck. You just suck. There's no one's hating on you. You just suck. Your content sucks. Your delivery sucks. You're probably not even telling the truth. Yeah, there's a bunch of people who had that shot on Joe Rogan, and they just went stay in stasis after that because people aren't resonating with them. Yeah, Joe Rogan, you get on Joe Rogan when the mainstream establishment needs to push any certain agendas. But it's not a guarantee of success. Look at Jimmy Corsetti. Total tailspin. Yeah, man. You heard the song? Jimmy Corsetti. Yeah, man. Jimmy Upsetti. Yeah, man. So dumb, man. In the future, when I do a bunch more traveling, I'm just going to start buying tickets to all these events. I'm just going to go get thrown out of all the events. Yeah, I'll just ask questions, man, until they can't answer them. I don't mind getting thrown out. I don't mind paying for a ticket and getting escorted to the door. I'll film it all. Let's see. Listen to this sap. Guy Anderson, he's really sucking ass here. He wants Graham Hancock's attention. This is why I think we should hold people like Hancock in such high regard, as without him and his peers, we would have no option other than to blindly believe what we have been told and risk losing a huge part of our history. That is the biggest suck-ass collection of prepositional phrases and adjectives I've ever seen in my life. It is stupid. Why do you need Hancock to think clearly? Why do you need Graham Hancock in order to read a book by yourself in a library? You suck ass. Yeah, man. So dumb. So dumb. Oh my God, another one? Graham Hancock alone has disproven the age of the pyramids around the world, in particular in South America and the Middle East, suggesting and proving they are much, much older. Not much, but much, much older, and are typically built upon even older megalithic structures or temples. So stupid. Guy Anderson is a copy and paste scholar, Facebook educated, And I'm just, you know what? I don't give a damn about him getting mad. This is moronic. He should give me my money back for these 2 stupid ass books. Here's where he's now leaving Graham Hancock's room and going up under the table on Billy Carson. If we consider the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the first written evidence of the creation of man, rather than taking Genesis in the Old Testament too literally, it is easy to assume that we are in fact the result of an intervention from a far more intelligent and advanced race of people. There ain't a damn thing in the Emerald Tablet about what he just said. This is Billy Carson. This reeks of Billy Carson. There's nothing in the Emerald Tablet text, which is only 1 paragraph, that has anything to do with what he just said at all. These people are often referred to as the Anunnaki and came to Earth from Sirius B around 300 to 400,000 years ago to mine gold. Yep, I told you, Billy Carson. Billy Carson's not original either. Remember, he's a 140. So Billy Carson got it from Zechariah Sitchin. Zechariah Sitchin. It's not even a mystery. He gave us a false chronology of world history. He is Jewish. It is not out of character at all. Damn, Graham Hancock again? Yeah, it's getting painful. These people were to be considered. Remember, this is the guy pushing Tartaria. This is the guy everybody's putting on a pedestal as an authority on Tartaria. But we're not dealing with Tartaria. We're dealing with ancient aliens hundreds of thousands of years ago. Graham Hancock, Atlantis, Ice Age. We're dealing with all the Graham Hancock shill narrative. All the people, David Icke, all of them that are running from me. Every single one of these researchers, all these authors got these huge communities and they're gaslighting their own communities. They're still steadily talking about the Ice Age. They're steadily talking. That's what Guy Anderson is doing. Guy Anderson is pigeonholing the Tartaria narrative in with ancient aliens and younger Dryas theory. This is what his role is. Guy Anderson is naming all the names and all the concepts that have nothing to do with Tartarian research. He's pissing off real Tartarian researchers. Go on my X page and look at the guys that I've been messaging with on my X account. There's guys that take the Tartaria research very seriously, but they don't make any of these stupid claims, and they can't stand Guy Anderson because they say he's an infiltrator. And I agree. He's a Facebook educated copy and paste moron. There's no doubt. Look what you see on the screen. I'm not making this up. This is all out of Guy Anderson's books. These people were to be considered fools by the mainstream in a similar way to Graham Hancock after his incredibly popular and insightful TV series on Netflix, Ancient Apocalypse. You may as well have written, Guy, you may as well have just written right here, hey, Mr. Hancock, give me a minute, man. Let me get up under the table on you. Dripping with please invite me for a chat. In this series, Hancock investigates a great flood or deluge that occurred around 12,000 years ago. That's another data point. No one. I wish David Icke was listening to me right now. He's mentioned it. I wish David Icke would challenge me on that bullshit. Graham Hancock, Randall Carson, Jimmy Corsetti, Billy Carson, any of these shills. Challenge me on any of that dating of the Great Flood. I will embarrass them. Challenge me on the Atlantis 9,600 BC. Assert that as a fact. I will embarrass them. Every single one of them. Here's your Tartarian authority pushing all the shill narratives. Here it is right here. Here it is. Younger Dryas. There is also a lot of evidence that prior to the introduction of the Gregorian calendar, the year had 13 months rather than 12. Absolute bullshit. Yeah, chronology is my thing, and the study of ancient calendrical systems is my thing, as I've shown over and over in my books and on my channel. and I've explained ad nauseum, I've told you guys over and over, there was never a 13 mansion calendar. It was intercalary and it was lunar. Every 4 years, lunar-based cultures would add a 13th moon, a 13th house. It was temporary. It was just to correct the calendar and put the calendar back in, the moon back in with the proper seasons and timing of the year. Intercalary usage of a 13 house lunar zodiac doesn't change the fact that the rest of the time it still has 12 lunar mansions, it's 12 houses. Yeah, man, that can easily be researched. He just threw this out there. He's literally saying that when they changed the calendar, the Gregorian calendar, before that, the calendar had 13. No, it did not. It did not. You can trace the 12 house solar and lunar calendar going back 2,000 years. Stupid. Once upon a time, it would appear that the only popular language was Hebrew. Wow. Once upon a time, it would appear that the only popular language was Hebrew. What a boring, drab language. Yeah, it only has a very few words to describe each thing, whereas other languages have a multiplicity of words to describe all kinds of things. Hebrew is very drab. It's almost like it's invented. But still, there has never been a time, there are no linguists, there are no epigraphers. Oh, epigraphers. There is no epigraphers. There's no one who studies language would ever agree with this statement. This is an uneducated statement. Once upon a time, it would appear that the only popular language was Hebrew. Man, shut the hell up, man. Some little splinter language based off Aramaic. When we have all this massive evidence of 7 different Aryan dialects. Yeah, we've got all Mongolian, Asian languages, ancient Egyptian. What the hell? Once upon a time, it would appear that the only popular language was Hebrew. And it is my belief that by each country and or continent developing its own dialect, so to him, Hebrew was the original. This is nothing but an attempt to again put Jews back into the center of historical dynamics for which they were not participants. Yeah, I talk about this on my channel a whole lot. Yeah, man, you got to watch out for this dude. He's full of agendas. With just 2 years to go before I became the worshipful master, I decided to leave. This is his intro to his book. I returned a few later. He returned to Masonry after that. So he left Freemasonry, and then he came back to Freemasonry. Then he left again, according to him. Here he is name dropping again. I discovered and then spent literally days on BitChute and YouTube watching Joe Rogan. Yeah. So he in his intro, he's trying to lay down the foundation of why you should regard him as an authority. This is what his intro is. The intro to his book is literally a bunch of bullshit as to why you should think he's an authority on Tartaria. Because he goes off and says that my father was a master mason. I became a Mason. I wanted to be in the Knights Templar. I didn't hang around long enough to do it, but I did gain the advantage as a young boy to be surrounded by my father's Masonic library, and I had access to all these books. So this is his backstory as to why he's so intelligent and knowledgeable, for which none of that intelligence or knowledge ended up in his books, but still this is his claim. So here is Now he's saying, although I continue to read more of my father's books and had purchased several myself, it wasn't until the pandemic that I really started to climb down the rabbit hole. Now, so this is his explanation as to why no one in the world ever heard of him until 2021, 2020, or 2022. No one had ever heard of him. This is his backstory. I don't believe it's true. One of my pieces of evidence is because the way his book is written. Another piece of evidence is I showed you 3 times a video where he bald-faced lied, freestyled lies about dialoguing with me and claiming that I supported a theory of his for which I do not support. I do not support pole shifts in any relation to Antarctica at all. It's vapor canopy. So, yeah, I can't trust the dude. I don't trust the dude at all. Oh, he's name dropping everybody, guys. This is the introduction to his book. I didn't understand why his father, I didn't understand why he read books by David Icke, who at the time was considered to be out there. Having been shunned by the BBC and ridiculed by many, the thought of someone I considered to be intelligent reading Icke's books baffled me. Do you not see the common denominator between David Icke and Graham Hancock? Do you not see the play? I can't be the only one, guys. I can't be the only one that knows the history of Graham Hancock, and that at the same time that he was always complaining that academia fears me, academia shuns me, I'm suppressed, they're throttling me. At the same time that he's always saying he's censored, the most prestigious publishing houses in the world are publishing his books. He gets documentaries all over the world, guest appearances. People pay for his trips to do all kinds of things. He's so suppressed. Yeah, we've seen that tactic before. Doesn't that tactic work for a whole culture of people today? While they're steady siphoning all your wealth, they're the victims. Now, we've seen that tactic before. Guy Anderson is right here talking about David Icke. David Icke is the exact same tactic. I've been banned from such and such, so all these countries. Okay. Yeah, I must be spitting the ultimate truths, man, because I've been banned from so many countries. Okay. Yeah, I'm censored all over the world. They throttle me. They won't even let me on you. They kick me off YouTube. But they let him back. But still, yeah, I'm suppressed. I'm censored. I'm not. What? You have #1 best-selling books. You've got 8 or 9 of them. You've made millions on your books. You have a whole platform called Iconic. You got your son involved now. Your family's involved. Everybody's involved in your sphere now. You don't look suppressed to me. Yeah, don't look so. It's the same tactic. Let's cry how suppressed we are while we gain the advantage of all these major. Yeah, name someone. I mean, hasn't there been over 200 podcasts that David Icke has been a guest on? Right? Yeah, it's a very common theme. But the people that cry the loudest about being suppressed seem to rise to the top the fastest and then stay there for decades. How's that possible? So here he is name dropping David Icke. David Icke, shunned by everybody. My father still is a master mason. He's still laying the groundwork for why the community should trust him. He has a background in esoteric information. My dad's library was vast, with a plethora of books on Freemasonry and a few by Stephen Hawking. This is a name-dropping SOB. I doubt Guy Anderson has ever read a Stephen Hawking book. But he wanted to cover everything. He's covered everything in his book. Every conspiracy in the truther community has been wrapped up in his books and packaged chapter by chapter by chapter. Even though none of it has anything to do with Tartaria, he wants to be seen and regarded as a authority on all these conspiracies. It's crazy. And he's being used to bridge all these other grifts. Ancient Aliens is a grift. Younger Dryas impact theory is a grift. Rishat structure is a grift. Claiming Atlantis is 9600 BC is a grift. Claiming the Great Flood of worldwide fame is the Ice Age is a grift. All these are grifts, guys. Claiming that the Sphinx was modeled as a lion and faces east because 10,000 BC, the constellation Leo was exactly at that point when the Egyptians didn't even have a Leo constellation. Yeah, if we go by Graham Hancock's reckoning, every Taco Bell that faces east is dated 10,500 BC. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. But that's what Guy Anderson is doing. He's bridging all these truther conspiracies. He's bridging all this shill stuff to Tartaria. Guy Anderson, all these people that are interviewing Guy Anderson to, for Tartaria type stuff, they end up talking about everything else. But you know what they're doing? They're actually platforming the guy who's hijacking the entire Tartaria narrative to pigeonhole it in with all the shill topics of Graham Hancock, Billy Carson, and Ancient Aliens. That's exactly what's being built right now in real time. I'm on the outside looking in. That's why I can see it so clearly. I am not a participant. I am always attacking all these people, and they're all running from me. Yeah, all of them running. I need to make another Running Man t-shirt, but that's what's happening. Stephen Hawking, man, sit down somewhere. You ain't gonna read a Stephen Hawking book unless it's just up under Graham Hancock's desk. Oh yeah. So here's him promoting the anti-European pro-black narrative right here. The Moors arrived there from Africa some 180 years earlier. This again helps create the connection between the buildings in America having the exact same style and construction methods as those we see throughout the rest of the known world. The White House and the Vatican are just two well-known examples. This is all just some bullshit. All some bullshit. For those of you new to my channel, I have 2 videos on the 1800s showing how we built buildings, showing before and after pictures of fantastic buildings, showing the ships of the 1800s, which were super constructions, buildings designed to float on the ocean, far more sophisticated than buildings on land. People don't realize the size of the things we could build in the 1800s. We were badass. We were badass. None of it was Tartarian. It was all German. It was all Prussian. It was all American. It was all British, French. We had shipping guilds, man. It was amazing the things that we built. No Tartarians required. None. It's just so dumb. So any of you fellow Americans out there should be offended by Guy. Guy is literally telling us that the history of the founding fathers, 1776, United States, and all that is all untrue, and that we stole all this land from black people, and black people built all these badass buildings and structures, and we found them. This is Guy Anderson. It's 100% an anti-colonial and anti-European narrative. It is 100% a communist manifesto design. So stupid. Don't fall for it, guys. Don't fall for this shill. Don't do it. Here's another one. However, I'm not totally convinced that Nikola Tesla actually existed. All right, man. I'm not going to stay on this long. But I'm going to tell you now. There are libraries like the New York Public Library you can go into today. And you can go in there and you can ask them. I would love to see. They're behind glass cases. Even in London, you can go and see newspapers that still exist from the 1880s, 1890s, all the way up to the 1920s, and you can read all about the controversy between Edison and Nikola Tesla. Those newspapers still exist today. And there are many books from the turn of the century that also talk about Tesla and all this stuff. I'm not totally convinced that Nikola Tesla actually existed. Well, I'm not totally convinced that you and I have ever spoken in our lives, and yet you told thousands of people online that we did. Effing liar. Yeah, man. So here's another one. Here in his book, he's talking about the population statistics. Oh, they don't add up. A lot of these guys talk about that. Oh, they just don't add up. and they're not taking things into consideration. There's a reason why in the 1700s, the population began to explode. It has everything to do with double cropping and new innovations in reaping technology. Engines, wagons, and machines that were now able to harvest, sow, and reap like 5 and 6 times faster than normal. Once the food supply just blew up, human population blew up too. It's quite natural, very natural. Also, and it's easily verifiable, the average Caucasian female in the 17 and 1800s had in between 4 and 9 children, with many having 12 and 13 children. It was a different world than today. Very different. Girls were popping out babies at 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. By the time they were 30, they already had 10 kids and they were considered to be old. Yeah, these dudes, I can't believe Guy Anderson doesn't know all this. This is all common knowledge for the 17 and 1800s. Yeah, children were everywhere. Yeah, man, it's crazy. He's not an AI creation. People have met him. People have met him. Here's the millennial reign of Christ, Satan's little season argument, and all. It doesn't even make any sense. The math doesn't even make any sense. But still, you know I have a problem with this because to me, I am 100% convinced that the gospel, the story of Jesus in the gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John was literary. And it was performed in amphitheaters all from Samaria all the way over the Mediterranean world. And it had many different variations. And that's why the 600 different copies of Gospels had to be eliminated by the Council of Nicaea and later councils all the way up into the councils of Constantinople. The reason they had to eliminate all these other Gospels because they told different versions. We didn't have evidence that there was other versions of Jesus until the Nag Hammadi text. And once we got the Nag Hammadi text, the Gnostic versions of the New Testament, we realized, holy shit, there's a bunch of other stories about Jesus too that have nothing to do with this. And it's because Jesus was the DC Comics of the ancient world. Everybody had different versions of Jesus. It was the Roman Church that canonized the only version you know today, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But there were over 600 Gospels. Yeah, man. Nothing about it. It was all literary. It was all literary, not literal history. We've got several videos and archaics on this. It's also something I'm willing to debate. Yeah, you're never going to convince me Jesus was historical. Yeah, there are many historical people that from which the Jesus story borrowed from, but there was never a Jesus that was just like the story Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. There was never a Jesus who walked on water, turned water into wine, as a real thing, not a parlor trick. There was never a Jesus who raised the dead. There was never a Jesus who was whipped, carried his cross, and then hung on his cross, and then died and resurrected 3 days later, and then turned around. It happened during a sun darkening event, a terrible earthquake. And when Jesus opened his eyes and the tomb opened and resurrected, all the spirits of the dead were also seen to raise from the rocks. This is in the gospel. Yeah, it's not just Jesus. All the spirits of the dead went too. They raised up into the sky and before 500 witnesses. It's bullshit. It's literary. It's not literal. So Jesus being total literary completely nullifies the entire Satan's little season narrative. It's stupid. It's dumb. 1776, we'll get there in a minute, is supposed to be when the Great Reset happened and Satan was loosed for a little season. So for 1,000 years before 1776, Satan's been in a pit. But the problem is we've got way too many histories. Nuremberg Chronicles, Chronicles of Marburg, which I showed you the Chronicles of Marburg, which go back the last 15 centuries. I gave you year by year everything that happened all over the world. Amazing in-depth chronicles of all the mass starvations and wars and tsunamis and all the stuff, all these people. Unbroken history. Just like the Nuremberg Chronicles, the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles, and the Frankish Annals. And we have way too much. It's just such a weird idea. So he name drops Mind Unveiled. And I'm going to tell you now, his book right here, Rise of the Clones, Mind Unveiled, might have some action. I don't know, because it looks like, you see how dark and perfect these images are? You see how dark and perfect they are? They're really high resolution in this book. Mind Unveiled. He quotes Mind Unveiled, but in his own book, they're real light, as if he took pictures of the Mind Unveiled book. They're real light. All his pictures are super light. He doesn't have many, but he did take a bunch of pictures that are also in the Mind Unveiled book. I don't know if he got it out from under them, but I can give you this guarantee. You can order his book, or you can order Mind Unveiled's book, and you will see that Mind Unveiled already covered all the bases. So he even cites Mind Unveiled, so he kind of gives himself up. Very unimpressed. I'm very unimpressed with this dude. So he's going to name drop some more. Here's Max Egan. He's a friend of mine. We've done 3 or 4 videos together. I didn't know Max Egan was an authority on Tartaria. That's news to me. I know when Martin Leakey and I did 2 videos on the Great Wall of Rome, when we showed that the wall was not Chinese and that was used in it was made in Roman. I know Max Egan took up the torch and did even more research and did his own video on the wall. Maybe he's calling it the Wall of Tartaria. I don't know. More power to him. But I didn't know Max Egan was an authority. He's not listed with all the authorities on Tartaria that I know of. John Levy is, but John Levy, I don't know much about John Levy, but I do know that when he was up and coming, he got a big boost from Martin Leakey. Yeah, he got a drive with thousands of pictures, and John Levy started showing those on YouTube. So I'm not impressed with Michael. I used to try to follow My Lunch Break, and then I watched 3 or 4 of them that were just absolutely obnoxious. It's like, come on, man, really? Yeah, I'm done with My Lunch Break. But yeah, I don't know. He's named. This is all name dropping. Yeah, this is all name dropping. Guy Anderson, Max Egan, John Levy, My Lunch Break. Again, it's just like getting up under the table on Graham Hancock. It's no different. I wrote this in the back of the book. Why is there no mention of Martin Leakey, who was like the very first in the entire Tartaria narrative 10 years ago on YouTube? Why is there no mention of Martin Leakey, Flat Earth British? 2 published books in 2024 and in 2025, and you've talked to these guys. Autodidactic is not mentioned anywhere in Guy Anderson's books. You know why? Because Guy Anderson's on a mission, and autodidactic was just a stepping stone. That's why. That's why. I did find a source. I did find where he actually provided a source in the book. Fucking crazy. Oh, man. All right. No bibliography, though. No bibliography. All right. The comet of 1811 continued to aftershock well into the following year. That is true. I don't know if the comet continued to aftershock, but a comet was seen, and major earthquakes happened in December and January of 1811 to 1812. All that's true. Following year, it appears to have been the strategic bombing, possibly atomic, of major Tartarian civilizations across the world. What? In his narrative, 1776 is the Great Reset. The whole world was very different before 1776, and the world became what it is today because of 1776. But if Tartaria was erased in 1776, why are you still pushing a narrative after 1776? This was just a comet. Nowhere in history do we have anything referencing anything bombing. There were no Zeppelins bombing. Zeppelins weren't even around in 1711. They were only experimented with in the 1700s, and there were failures. They didn't take off. In the 1800s, the blimps and the Zeppelins took off, but not in 1811. Here is a possibly atomic strategic bombing of major Tartarian civilizations across the world. Guys, there's no record of this anywhere. This is freestyled. He didn't even mention what civilizations, what their locations are, or what the reference material is. It's just total freestyle. The same thing he did with Forbidden Knowledge News, freestyle, and that he had a conversation with me. This is 100% freestyle. So dumb. Airships appear to play a huge role in transportation during the Tartarian reign. There's no evidence of airships at all in the Tartarian times. And the Tartarians were only nomads. Yeah, it's just so dumb. So now we're going to go back here. Let's check these out now. Yeah, man. We're almost done with this. Almost done with this. Yeah, Guy Anderson is an epic fail, guys. He's an epic fail. He's perfect for Graham Hancock, Randall Carson, Jimmy Corsetti, Billy. He's perfect for that clique. They should invite him so I can keep all the shills together. But he's terrible, guys. Let's see. A huge reset. Okay, a huge reset of the entire human race has been taking place since the destruction of the Tartarian Empire in 1776. Nothing happened in 1776 on par with what he's talking about. I've already showed you guys books from the 1770s, 1760s, the 1750s, the 1713, 1707 books I have in my library that basically explain that before the United 13 colonies rebelled, there were English colonies, and the books talking about all the history with the Indians, talking about the history with Dutch trading ships came in, brought tea, brought coffee, brought dried meats and fish. I got books to talk about all these things. There was no reset. There was no Satan's little season. There was no 1,000 years of reign of peace. In archaics, we have documented the last 15 centuries since the Dark Ages, and it's nothing but war, famine, disease, death, over and over and over. But in the Tartarian narrative, the war, disease, famine, and death didn't begin to 1776 when Satan was loosed. In 1775 was the 1,000th year of the reign of Jesus with the millennial saints. It is so dumb. It's so dumb. Yeah, man. I would not be surprised, guys, if I was to find out that this dude was like CIA, JT or JC loves J, whatever the hell his name is. JT loves JC, who also pushes Satan Little Season. Wouldn't be surprised to find out he's CIA. None of this shit. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that David Icke is some type of SAS, British intelligence. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that Graham Hancock is British intelligence. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that Billy Carson, even though he's a convicted felon, even though he's his real name is William Tyrone Carlson, and he was convicted. He was prosecuted for fraud, identity theft in Florida. I wouldn't be surprised if, because he is immoral, unscrupulous, and I'll even throw the black card in there, probably because he's also because he's black. He's perfect role model for grift. He's the perfect person that we can push a bunch of false narratives through. Because with his dead eyes, he'll get on screen and say anything we pay him to say. It doesn't matter if Christians beat him up and disprove him. It doesn't matter if he gets slammed in this debate. It doesn't matter if Jason of Archaics is calling out all of our operatives. We don't have to answer those calls. We just keep the money flowing and keep our shills producing all this shill data. That's what I believe is happening anyway. Yeah, tell me I'm wrong. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that I pretty much nailed it. I'm not wrong about these people. I can't be wrong. I've already produced all the most accurate data overturning all this bullshit, and none of them will come to the table. There's too much writing on the line. Yeah, man. None of them. Somebody else is calling the shots. It ain't David Icke. It ain't Graham Hancock. It ain't Randall Carson, Jimmy Corsetti, Billy Carson. No. It ain't Dan Richards, D. Dunker. Sure as hell ain't him. That fraud. Yeah, man. Who's calling the shots? I don't know. Put a 1 in the chat if you think I nailed it. I'm not inventing anything. I'm not making anything up. All I've done in Archaics is just show y'all all this shit. And look how it all plays out. Guy Anderson's going to be another one. He's going to be invited into that clique, and he's going to bring the Tartaria narrative to reign so the intelligence agencies can put a lock on it. That's what they want to do. They want to do. Yeah, man. I'm not imagining anything. Let's see. Human reset. Yeah. A reset of the entire human race has been taking place since the destruction of the Tartarian Empire. How do you explain the New York Public Library, which has books? I have books from the 1600s up here. I showed them to you. That whole shelf is 1700s. How do you explain these books that were published in 1707, like the 2-volume books called The Phoenix I showed you guys a couple weeks ago? How do you explain? These books have news reports from all over the world. Nothing about what you're talking about. A thousand year reign of the saints, absolute peace, because 1707 would have been 69 years before Satan was released from the pit in 1776. And none of the books I have from the 1700s talk about a Tartarian empire. What are you talking about? It's all fantasy. It's all Facebook educated drivel. It's just stupid. Just dumb. Orphan Train movement was headed by Charles Loring Brace and P.T. Barnum, the greatest showman in the world. On behalf of the Oddfellows, Brace, a known racist, despised non-Catholics and refused to assist or relocate any non-white children too, hoping to repopulate establish America as a white nation, thus dismissing its real forefathers of Moorish, Tartarian, Aztec, and other indigenous descents. The whole Moorish narrative is another false narrative. It's another BS narrative. Yes, the Spanish were here before the English. Yes, among the Spanish were Moors. The Moors took over Spain. Everybody knows this. It's all in history books. So, yes, there were Moors here in the Americas. But the 13 colonies of England were 100% Anglo-Saxon with about 2%, actually 2% Dutch. Everybody who's done their history knows the original 13 colonies were all Anglo-Saxon. Every single one of them. There was a few Dutch people here, a few German people here, but it was almost 100% English. 13 colonies. Not Moors, white people from England. That's who was here. That's who founded the 13 colonies. And that's what my books from the 1700s also show. And a bunch of these white people were interested in what the Native Americans had to say. And I have books from the early 1800s all about what the traditions were of the Native Americans. Some of them really fascinating, really fascinating. But you know what the Native Americans never told us? That there were black people here. No. That's not what Josiah Priest found out. That's not what a bunch of these researchers found out in the early 1800s when they were asking the Native Americans for their traditions. No, they found out that the Native Americans claimed that we weren't the first white people here, and that in the days of their ancestors, there were also white brothers here. They never said anything about black people being here. You're being gaslit. This is all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit, man. So, is it possible that the West was flooded with white babies following the reset of 1776 to repopulate areas? No. Manifest Destiny, the West was flooded with orphan trains and babies because women were having, during the Industrial Revolution put new machines in agriculture. Farmers weren't even prepared for how awesome just a 5-year period had become. What had ordinarily taken a village, like an acre and a half to feed the whole village of all of a sudden they could plant, they could use machines to sow, machines to furrow, machines to water, and machines to reap. And within 5 or 6 years, all of a sudden, what we grew could actually support a population 50 times its size. How do I know this? Because we didn't know what to do with all the food in America when this happened. Women were having 4 to 9 babies on average. Yes, your petite little European white girls here in the States were having 4 to 9 babies because they could feed them all easily. They could feed them all super easy. This is all in the historical record. There's no reason why this guy should know this. Now, the United States had such a surplus that we were able to secure trade with other countries because we became the breadbasket of the world. In the 1800s, we sent fleets of ships to other countries, and they gave us money and gave us resources. Very, very fast, the United States became a power to be reckoned with. Other countries that were starving, like the Irish potato famine in the 1840s, 50s, and 60s, other countries in Europe that were having trouble meeting the demands of the population, they filled their ships up with children and they sent them here, adding to our own problem of having too many children. So families would often send off children to orphanages that were also designed to provide labor to the new industries that were popping up everywhere. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying child slavery is right and all that, but that's what was going on. And many times those children wanted to leave. Who wants to be in a small cottage with 9 other kids? A lot of kids wanted to go. They wanted to work. They wanted to make money. They wanted the freedom. It was a time of great expansion and excitement. And for almost 100 years, it was all about going west. We need to go west. First, it was to the Mississippi. Then all that became super populated. Now everybody's like, man, there's badass mountains farther out west. And look, the Spanish aren't even in control of the Sierra Nevadas no more. And on the other side of the Sierra Nevadas is paradise, and they called it California. Yeah, man, all this is known. Anybody who has read history books from the 1800s knows all this. So dumb, man. Baby farms were exclusive to America and England, which will come as no surprise. The parasites that founded America in 1776, there's your communist agenda right there. You can't miss that, guys. Guy Anderson is literally employing communist propaganda. He's calling the founders of the United States. These are the guys that wrote the very first political document in the history of the world that declared that the rights of men come from God, not the king. What? The Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution and the Articles of Confederation are the first documents in the history of the world that were written claiming that the rights of men do not come from a king. They come from God. And this shill right here, Guy Anderson, is literally telling you that the founders of this great nation of the United States of America were parasites. Yeah, man, screw this dude. Yeah, man. This is all anti-white, anti-Caucasian rhetoric right here. And he's full of it too. He's full of it too. This is an intro to his other book. A global reset happened across in 1776 with just one aim: to wipe the Tartarian Empire off the face of the earth. Guys, you can immerse yourself into, you can go on Google and you can get PDFs of books that were published in the 1760s, 1750s, 1740s. You can read those books. I have a bunch of them in my Archaics Underground. My Underground members have access to these old books. You'll never find any references to anything other than English colonies here, Germany and Prussia overseas, Napoleonic Wars, all these things going on. There's nothing about a Tartarian Empire that got wiped out in 1776. Only thing happened in 1776 was 1777. It is so dumb. It's just so dumb. The Billy Carson of Tartaria. His name is Guy Anderson. Total moron. Declaration of Independence, but it was also the year Adam Weishaupt founded the Illuminati in Ingolstadt, Bolivia. We all know that. I don't know about Ingolstadt, Bolivia. Where did he get Bolivia from? Okay, he needs to do his homework. It's Bavaria. The Illuminati was founded in Bavaria. It was the Bavarian police that brought it to the attention of the nations of the world when they found documents that had belonged to Adam Weishaupt. It was not Bolivia in South America. However, what you won't find online is that it was also the year that the Tartarian Empire finally fell. I'm going to add to that. Also, what you won't find in any book in the entire world, on any monument in the entire world, or in any tradition in the entire world, that the Tartarian Empire fell in the year 1776. You won't find that anywhere either. So dumb. Can't even believe I'm doing a video about this shit. So dumb. All right, we already talked about his Anunnaki stuff. Yeah, man. Those are the pages of his book. That's his book, guys. You saw the video. You saw his book. This is the guy being pushed in the truther community right now, being pushed by everybody. This is the guy. Communist agendas. Doesn't know how to assert facts. Has no bibliography. Cites internet links. Claims the dumbest shit ever. This is him. His name is Guy Anderson. This is the guy. And I would have never done a video. I'm not done with this video, but I would have never done this video. I don't care what, there's dumb people everywhere in the field. There's podcasters all around me, man, that I look down on, like, man, I can't believe you had that shill on your show. So I just like disregard them. It's like, man, it's nothing. I would have never been drawn to do this video had not this guy steadily had my name in his mouth on these podcasts. Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So another one of his narratives, one of the things that he likes to really talk about is the Cabbage Patch Babies and all that. Guys, there's no mystery here. None. I like my Mind Unveiled. I have this weird feeling that they're more than they present themselves to be. They're too polished. They're too good at what they do. I don't know, man, but I don't have any proof that Mind Unveiled is anything other than two youngsters, because they're too young to be having all this data and all that. But I don't know, man. They got some fantastic editing and imagery, and I don't know who they are. I don't know who they are, but Mind Unveiled has done a fantastic job on the Cabbage Patch Babies, and I have publicly criticized their narrative, and they responded, and I'm cool with that. But I'm gonna let you guys know something you probably never heard before. The Cabbage Patch phenomenon from the 1800s and turn of the century all the way up to the 1950s. Guys, it's not new. It's very old. It's very old. Let me show you 4 facts. Well, actually a few facts that you've probably never seen before. But it concerns the Cabbage Patch Kids and this whole narrative of babies becoming, this idea, cloning. So in some way, cabbages with babies' heads in them or babies sitting in cabbages has something to do with cloning. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and dispel that. I'm gonna show you where it comes from, because it has nothing to do with cloning whatsoever. I'm gonna tell you what, I love cabbage. I don't know if there's anybody in my chat. Maybe there is somebody in my chat, but in prison we grew cabbages. And one of the things we used to do, man, I used to grab that cabbage, tilt it off to the left, and twist, and that's how you pop it off the stalk. I used to tear the outer green. It's called the green. I would tear the green off, and I would get to the succulent white. It's sweet, and I'd tear off like an apple. I would eat cabbages raw in the fields. It's why I'm in such good shape today. The whole time I was in prison, I was in maximum security, and I couldn't keep hardly any good jobs. I did for a few years, but 26 years is a long time. I kept getting in trouble. They kept putting me in the fields. I was in the field, but I love the fields, because out in the fields I got to eat raw radishes and raw turnips, and I used to eat raw cucumber, everything. Yeah, I even got to laugh at a black guy one time because he's so dumb. Yeah, man, we're all paired up. All of us are paired up prisoners. All the guards have rifles and they're on horseback. All the prisoners are paired up. We're all wearing white. And some black guy in the line, we're going in for lunch. You work the full day in the field. So we're going in for lunch. After lunch, we eat take a break for about 45 minutes. We come back out to the field. And that day was cucumber day. And I always take salt packs to the fields with me when I was in prison, and they'll be in my pocket. Every time I get raw vegetables around me, I'll use the blade on my hoe, on my Aggie, and I would cut vegetables open. I'd take a bell pepper and I'd shove radishes and raw tomatoes in it. And I'd eat it like that. But I was raised all in my teens, 20s, 30s, and early 40s. I was raised on raw vegetables, and I always pull them straight from the ground. I used to eat cabbage like apples, and on cucumber day, I was taking my cucumber and running it down the blade of my hoe and making big thick chunks like that. And I'd put salt on them. I love raw cucumber with salt. And I'll just eat it like that out in the field. And in the fields, I never ran out of energy. I'm always working. I'm working hard. Don't matter if we chop trees down, whatever we're doing. As long as I have access to my raw vegetables, man, I'm good. And since I was been in prison since I was a teenager, 17 years old, all the officers knew me. Everybody knew me. It's hard for me to get in trouble. So I would even pick up a watermelon, and then I would drop the watermelon and it would bust. And hey, look out, boss, there's a watermelon, it busted. Are you throwing my watermelons on the ground, Brashears? No, sir. He did. One of them guys did. I just saw it. It's broken. Once a watermelon's broken, you have permission to eat it. You just can't get caught breaking one. So I used cantaloupe, everything. Cantaloupe's hard to get into. But anyway, on this tangent, we're walking to go to lunch, and I'm already full of cucumbers. We've been picking cucumbers and filling up potato sacks full of cucumbers all morning, loading them up on these flatbed trucks. And our vegetables go to other prisons. There's over 100 male prisons in Texas, state prisons. Texas is huge. There's over 100 prisons, and we have cucumbers, cabbages. I think ours was vine crops that year. Another prison was doing root crops like onions, radishes, carrots, things that grow under the ground. We were doing vine. They rotate everything. So anyway, we're in line, and this city boy, a black dude, just bursts out. Everybody's tired. Nobody's talking. We're heading toward the back gate so we can strip down, get naked, get searched, put our clothes back on, and then go to the chow hall. This was the daily routine. Then come back out to work. But as we're walking, this black guy, he's a city boy. He said, I'm tired. I'm tired eating all these fucking cucumbers. When's we gonna grow some pickles around here? Man, I almost spit up the cucumbers I had when I heard that, because he was being serious. He wasn't joking. He was being serious. Yeah, I almost spit up my cucumber. And then it was a pause. Everybody thought he was joking. There was a pause, and then the whole host squad, even the bosses on the horses started laughing. I'm tired of eating these fucking cucumbers. When's we gonna grow some pickles around here? Yeah, man. That's Guy Anderson. When we gonna grow some pickles around here? All right, let me show you this right here. I'm gonna share my screen. These are some facts you should know. Listen, man, some of these guys studying the Tartaria narrative, they're unveiling very real mysteries. I'm not claiming to know them, to know the answers. They're unveiling some real historical anomalies. But there are things that are attaching themselves to the Tartaria research, like Satan's Little Season, the 1776 narrative. And what Guy Anderson is trying to do, he's trying to bridge ancient aliens and younger Dryas to the Tartarian narrative. And this is what's being done in the community right now. This is why Guy Anderson's pissing off real Tartaria researchers. This is what's happening. So cultural historians note that folk tales telling children that a baby was found under a large cabbage leaf date well before the 1600s in Western Europe. There's a reason for this. In rural European peasant societies, the cabbage was deeply associated with fertility. Renaissance women traditionally ate cabbage to boost their fertility. These are European practices. In Scotland, children would leave cabbage leaves outside the house to ask fairies for a new brother or sister. The Cabbage Patch as an origin of babies exploded in popularity as a convenient way for embarrassed parents to in a rigidly conservative Christian culture to avoid explaining sex and childbirth to children. Now pay attention to this. All of this was before the popular cards and artwork of infants shown in Cabbage Patches and has zero to do with cloning. When I explained this 2 years ago on my channel, in the 1800s and all the way up to the 1950s, we were very conservative Christian in Western societies, not just America. And it became all the way back from the 1600s when we thought cabbages had protectors called fairies, and that those fairies would guarantee fertility and giving us brothers and sisters. So cabbages became associated to babies. And when people made cards and when they embroidered aprons and stuff, it was popular to put a baby on a cabbage. And it has nothing to do with this stupid ass idea of cloning. None. I'm not saying clones aren't real. I'm not saying some Hollywood superstars aren't cloned. I'm not saying politicians today are clones and the real people are already dead or underground. I don't know. All I'm telling you right now is in the Tartarian narrative, there is no connection between Cabbage Patch babies and cloning. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't. These two things are inherently separate in their historical narratives, just like the incubators. The incubators have no crossover with cabbage whatsoever or cloning. The incubators were designed by the French because they needed their nurses to get out of the baby wards, the maternal wards, and do other duties in other places. But before the invention of the incubator, what kept babies warm was people holding them to their breast and with a blanket. Nurses, called wet nurses, were always used in hospital wards and in cottages and villages to nurse babies. How did they nurse babies? With their breasts. Many women would hold babies, not just the mothers, other women would come and they would breastfeed. And they would have these babies there. And sometimes they only used their nipples to shut the baby up. Nurses would pick up a baby that was just screaming and crying, and even if there was no milk coming out, it didn't matter. The baby would be quiet and would go back to sleep, sucking on a tit. The incubators relieved the hospitals and the maternity wards of having to sit here and coddle babies. And man, they invented pacifiers at the exact same time they invented the incubators. All incubators do is keep something warm. That's all they do. Incubators don't. The Tartarian narrative has you thinking babies are grown in little glass jars and incubators. They get bigger and bigger. And they become a baby. It's so dumb. It's just dumb. Yeah, man. But these narratives, they all, when you really scrutinize all these narratives, they fall apart, man. They fall apart because they're stupid. They're just dumb. But we're not done. Is a B alive? Is a Bell alive? Isabel alive? Isabel alive. All right, cool. Thank you, man. Thank you. It's just so dumb. So I'm going to add one to the list. I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to add one to the list. I'm continuing to add to this list. I'm not doing away with this list at all. And in the near future, I got private things going on in my life. You know, right now, like I haven't eaten in 2 days, but I feel great. I'm probably not going to eat for another 3, 4, 5, or 6 days. It depends on, I'll know. My body will tell me when I'm done. But I'm doing something right now. But in my personal life, I got other things going on. So, but when I got all my ducks in a row, and when I feel the time is right, it's probably going to be soon. But when I feel the time is right, yeah, I'm changing my tactics, guys. I'm not calling these people out anymore. I've got a better idea. There's a whole lot of podcasters out there, and I'm going to be throwing some carrots out, and I guarantee you, I'm going to get some takers. But I've been looking at this whole situation of the shill war from a totally unique, different vantage point. And I have a lot of assets out in the field that I have not been using because I wasn't seeing clearly. But I'm seeing clearly now. So what they push, but they won't defend. Here's a chart that'll show you real quick. Look at this chart. Look at this chart. And you know what? I can probably blow that up a little bit. Yeah, I can blow that up so you can see what you can see. See right here. What they push but won't defend. Look who's on this list. Billy Carson. Yeah, man, right here. Freestyler extraordinaire, the alpha freestyler. Right here. Billy Carson. He pushes younger Dryas Atlantis, and Ancient Aliens, the Age of Leo being Sphinx. All these things I want to debate. I want to debate them all. And I want to debate Billy Carson. He's not the only one. David Icke promotes this as well. David Icke's been around longer than everybody. Yeah. Matthew LaCroix, dark journalist. David Hatcher Childers. Look, all of them right here. They all promote this shit. Jason Reza Georgiani. What a real upset that was. I thought I was going to get a debate there. All you guys telling me he was a polymath, telling me that he was an expert in his field and a professor, a former professor, and all these things. Yeah, real upset there. Jason Reza Georgiani. Love to debate him on all these topics. Graham Hancock, younger Dryas, Atlantis, Age of Leo, Sphinx. Love to debate the man. Randall Carson's just a follower. Yeah, Randall Carson, he's just a man in a box. Dan Richards, right here. Younger Dryas, Atlantis, Age of Leo, and the Sphinx. I don't know what Dan Richards' position is on the dating of the Great Flood, so I didn't mention it. I don't think he pushes Ancient Aliens either. Jimmy Corsetti, younger Dryas, Atlantis, Age of Leo, the Sphinx. G.G. Young, younger Dryas, Atlantis, 10,000, 12,000 BC, the Age of Leo, Sphinx. Greg Braden, younger Dryas, Atlantis, and Ancient Aliens. Yeah, man. Any one of these people on this list. Oh, here's Guy Anderson, younger Dryas, Atlantis, Ancient Aliens. I need to put Tartaria right next to it. He's the only one. Let me do that. Tartaria. I'll put Tartaria right there. He's the key, guys. He's the only one on this entire list that pushes the Tartaria stuff. David Edward. That's Tartaria too, isn't it? I can't add that until I look at his book. I got 2 of his books right here. But because he works with John Levi, I believe that he's Tartaria too. I'll check. Robert Seifer is not about a lot of that bullshit, but he does entertain Atlantis as, 9,600 BC. Ken Wheeler, same thing. He's a real upset too. Supposed to be a prodigal son. Everybody told me how ingenious he was. Yeah, his video was garbage. Terrible. Yeah, man. Here they are right here. Here they are. What they push but won't defend. And if some of these names, some of these names you might know. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, you don't just have to go by their names. I got a picture of every one of them right here. Yeah. Yeah, been around the block. This guy's been around the block for a long time. Whole world hating on him, kicked out of all kinds of, can't go to different countries. Yeah, man. Got all kinds of badass books published. Yeah, he's been hated on a long time. He's on YouTube. He's been on 300-400 podcasts. Yeah, man, made some wild claims in his early days, but he cleaned his act up when he realized he was going too far. He got rid of that turquoise jumpsuit, and yeah, he's just all around. He's responsible for waking a lot of people up, but there's some bullshit in his stuff too. Yeah, man. Oh man, there's Alex Jones and Billy Carson right there. What's going on? What's going on? I am not impressed and will never endorse Alex Jones. Oh, David Hatcher Childress sold out for that paycheck. Ancient Aliens. David Edward right there promoting. He pushes Jimmy Corsetti's Rishat structure for Atlantis. There's Gareth Icke. That's the interview right there between, I think they did two of them. There's Gareth Icke and Guy Anderson right there, Freestyle King. I wonder what Gareth Icke would say about watching this video right here. Still want to network with this guy? You still want to include him in Iconic? I hope you do. There he is, Guy Anderson. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. What is that? Tattoo? What the hell is that? Jason Giorgiani, not impressed. I'm so not impressed with you, man. Uh-oh, look at that network. How in the world did this ever happen? How in the world could Graham Hancock ever allow himself to shill next to this guy? Oh my God, this is crazy. This is crazy. You know what? If I was Graham Hancock, I would be telling my CIA handler, hey man, you can't put me in a room with that guy. Yeah, man, that's crazy. Yeah, here's Jimmy Upsetti. Such a shill. The only reason anybody knows his name is because of the Rishak structure, which has been thoroughly dismantled and disproven. Not just by me, even Randall Carson dismisses it. Without the Rishak structure story, Jimmy Corsetti would have never been known to anybody in the world and would probably be working at a Taco Bell dated at 10,500 BC. This guy here. Yeah, man. This is Matt LaCroix, however you say his name. You know who this is. This is 140. Jimmy Upsetti again. Dark journalist. The beautiful, I'm not going to lie, man. She's beautiful. Gigi Young. Absolutely. Dark journalist thinks so. Yeah, man. Here they are. Greg Braden. He's nowhere near as far out there as these other guys, but he still entertains younger Dryas impact theory. I think he entertains Ancient Aliens, but I didn't put it on there. But Atlantis 9,600 BC. Look at this, man. They just work. Listen, they're all getting closer and closer together. Look, they got David Hatcher Childress, Dan Richards, Billy Carson, Randall Carson. This is embarrassing, guys. This is absolutely embarrassing. Look at this guy. Y'all told me this guy was a genius. It's embarrassing. Man, how did this happen? How did this happen? Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, UK 2026. Get a load of that, guys. You saw this on Archaics. They are networking. Yeah, Graham Hancock, Randall Carson is all involved in here. And now Guy Anderson. Guy Anderson's being pulled in by Iconic as we speak, or he wouldn't have done an interview with Gareth Icke. Yeah, Sean Atwood's in the UK. Look, intelligence agencies are circling their wagons. They're protecting this bullshit communist narrative. It is absolutely communist to promote younger Dryas. 9,600 BC. Every bit of it is communist. Why? Because it gets you to question your heritage, your ancestors, your people, the very accomplishments that made your forefathers great and produced the world that we're living in now. Yeah, the world's effed up because these people are effing it up. But the world we built was built on the backs of our ancestors, and we should be proud of that. But these shills here, all trying to get you to believe in false narratives that are absolutely untrue, that have nothing to do with the historical facts. The historical facts are that we humans have built and done great things, but these men will rob you of that. Oh, man, I'm not trying to hear it. I'm not trying to hear it. Anunnaki built it. The Tartarians built it. Yeah, man, the reptilians did it. I'm trying to hear it, man. And last but not least, I lied, but so did he. I'm going to show it again.
Antarctica to completely cover it, it'd be covered in ice. That would take a significant event that would have to be worldwide, and that has to be, the more I researched it, connected to a pole shift. So I started bouncing this around. I don't know if everybody will know this person, but Jason from Archaics.
Yes, I've had him on.
Yeah, so I started bouncing this around with Jason, and I've been talking to him about this for probably, in amongst other conversations about dogs and stuff, and rubber ducks, which is a strange, we were talking about the rubber ducks again today, but I think a pole shift took place, and he was I suppose I wanted his opinion on it, because I thought if anybody's going to sort of do a deep dive into this, it's probably Jason. And so I expected him to either say, well, I've looked into that and no, it couldn't have taken place because of X, Y, and Z, or yes, I think it might have done. And when the more information I gave him, he said, well, you could be onto something there. Because it does make sense, keep digging, and since then we've been talking a bit more about it, and it's impossible. It's like Tesla trying to find this information. So
I like Chris Mathau, Forbidden Knowledge News, man. I'm not going to denigrate him or his platform. He's good, but he sure had a shill on. He sure the hell had a shill on, guys. No doubt about that. So I will show this real quick. Share screen again. All right. So last year, a bunch of people cried, pissed, and moaned. I'm not trying to hear it this year. I think you got 13 days. Yeah, to the end of the month. If you're going to join us for this NFL season, because we're shutting the door till Super Bowl, I'm pretty much done warning you. There's your little warning right there. Our case 138 email, but after the first of the month, doors are shut to the end of the season. Shut to the end. And we're not trying to hear it. So I will dignify this presentation, and I will dedicate the closing song to Guy Anderson. Love you guys.
Ladies and gents, gather around the fire sale of ancient lies, where Hancock waves his white hair like a flag of surrender. I shape shifts into a lizard with a deadline, and Jimmy upset he flips maps like bad pizza dough. This ain't history, it's a Grift symphony. Let's roast up. Graham Hancock, old silver fox with a Netflix check, preaching about lost cities while your facts are erect. 9600 BCE, that's your magic number. You hack. Younger Dryas coming, buddy, that's just whack. You cherry pick myths like grapes from a vine. Ignore cause your timeline's afloat on waves of bullshit, keeping suckers afloat. Randall Carson's your bro, hammer in hand, smashing real science like it's grains of sand. But when the ice melts and truth starts to thaw, your empire crumbles, bow down to the floor. Charlatan, 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 charlatans in the spotlight, peddling dreams for the fee. Hey, Hancock, Hancock, upsetting liars degree. Reptilians and pyramids, aliens from the stars. What's your evidence? Empty jars on Mars. Chill for the shekel, twist history's thread. Wake up, sheeple, these wolves want you dead. Roast them, toast them, burn the whole damn crew. Pseudo-science circus, we're coming for David Icke, turquoise tie and a lizard grin. You're banned from YouTube? Nah, that's just spin. Only truth tellers get the boot. You whine and cry, but RKX is screaming, so by your rules he's alive. Children of the Matrix, more like kids in your scam. Biggest secret's a fact, you're a one-man sham. Sit your fanboy, Anunnaki gold rush. Pushing fall of Atlantis like it's holy hush. 9600 BCE debate, RKX your fraud. Or hide in your books, applaud your own applaud. Pacifist pose of calling out Donnie Trump, while your wallet's the real shape-shifting chump. Charlatans in the spotlight, peddling dreams for the fee. Ike, Hancock, Hancock, upsetting liars degree. Reptilians and pyramids, aliens from the stars. What's your evidence? Empty jars on Mars. Chill for the shekel, twist history's thread. Wake up, sheeple, these wolves want you dead. Roast them, toast them, burn the whole damn crew. Pseudo-science circus, we're coming for Jimmy Corsetti, upsetty, the clown with the glow flip. Bright insight, more like dim-witted clips. Mud flood myths and Tartaria tales so tall. Yo, Jimmy the janitor sweeping up the fall. Hancock's your godfather, Ike's the uncle weirdo. All three of you grifting off the unconvinced fear. No peer review, just Patreon please. Selling salvation in 4K decrees, but the dates don't add, the commas don't crash. Your Atlantis is a puddle splash. Pictogram like in Hancock at the rally roar. White hair flapping like a ghost from the shore. Magician to be God, you're the trick finger of God. Knives to defeat, baffled your ego. Pyramids aligned to your greed, but carbon dates laugh at your scholarly bleed. Corsetti chimes in with his upside down spin. Ike nods along, let the grip begin. You're a trio of tumbleweeds in the true desert dry, blowing smoke signals through the credulous sky. RKX called it chill dating just in. Time to pack up the tent. Carnival's then! Charlatans, chop, chop, chop.